Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today I have a very interesting topic. Most CMOs don't realize this, but attribution is silently killing their pipeline. You hit publish, leads trickle in, someone converts and your CRM tells you it was from Google search. What if they had read 7 LinkedIn posts before that? What if their CEO saw your CEO speak on a panel 3 months ago? What if they only Googled your brand because their investor forwarded your white paper or a case study? That search conversion, it's a lie. And here is the dangerous part, you believed it. Welcome to the 100K club, the top 5% marketers who don't settle for dashboards and vanity reports. You are not here to tweak campaigns, you are here to build a GTM system sales can trust. If you're new here, subscribe now. We are dismantling the old playbook and rebuilding from truth. And if you have been burned by attribution before, this is your episode. Stay till the end for the 3 fatal attribution fallacies that are killing GTM today, the signal web model, how real decisions are made, and a tactical blueprint for GTM that doesn't rely on attributions at all. Okay, let's dive a little deeper into the attribution trap and why every dashboard lies. Attribution is a coping mechanism, not a truth machine. It was invented to justify spend, not explain decisions. Let me tell you how I learned this the hard way. We ran a massive integrated campaign with webinars, LinkedIn, paid campaign, and all pointing to a high intent landing page. Hundreds of leads came in, 50% of the leads were organic, few were direct and few from social. I presented it like a win, but when sales followed up, only 4 even remembered the ad. None of them watched the webinar. And one said, "Oh yeah, I came because your CEO replied to my LinkedIn comment." The dashboard told me one story, reality told me another. Attribution was assigning credit, but it wasn't explaining behavior. Right? It was giving us precision without truth. So let's start with the 3 fallacies that are killing the pipeline today. Fallacy number 1. Last touch is a lie. The last thing someone clicked is not when they converted. If your CRO downloads a case study at midnight but had 4 boardroom discussion about your product over 3 weeks, that case study isn't the cost, it's the confirmation. And yet our GTM decisions are based on this flawed chain of logic. We cut content because it doesn't convert. We double down on retargeting ads because they close deals. But attribution logic is backward. It tracks what's easy, not what matters. According to several reports, up to 78% of B2B purchase decisions involve more than 5 interactions across 3 channels. And yet 90% of the attribution system only credit the last click. You're building your GTM on shadows. I want to talk about the second fallacy. You might say that you're smarter. We use multi-touch attribution, right? And sorry, that's still broken. And why do I say that? Because multi-touch models assume equal weight to all touches, right? Or algorithm weight that still ignores context, timing, and influence. Let me show you the real flow. If someone saw your founder on a podcast, read 3 LinkedIn posts, listened to a customer story, checked G2, downloaded your product review, multi-touch will say assign 20% for all the 5 touches, right? But which of these actually tipped the scale? Which moment made the CFO say, okay, let's evaluate this vendor? Multi-touch can't tell you that because it wasn't built to understand human. It was built to assign credit to channels. That's not GTM, that's politics. And I want to talk to you about the fallacy 3 and how your attribution is blinding your strategy. This is the most dangerous part because attributions doesn't just lie, it shapes your budget, your strategy. That means if it's broken, your entire GTM is drifting off course. You cut top of the funnel content because it doesn't convert. You reduce community investments because it's untrackable. You favor gated assets because they show form fits. But here is the kicker. Everything that moves your buyer emotionally is rarely attributed. Conferences, founder voices, category narrative, team level conversations, customer referrals. In a recent study, the number one influence on purchase was peer conversation, which aren't tracked in attribution models at all. So you are steering your GTM boat using broken instruments and wondering why it keeps crashing. So what to do instead, right? I want to introduce you to the signal web. Attribution models are for marketers, buying signals are for revenue teams. If attribution is a straight line, then revenue is a spider web. It's messy, invisible, and full of real movement. Let's kill the addiction. You don't need to credit every touch. You need to track evidence of buying motion, whether or not a form was filled. That's where Signal Tab comes in. What is Signal Tab? It's not a funnel, it's a score. It's a living map of how real buyers move from passive to pipeline. And here is how it works. Instead of assigning credit to each touch, we start identifying clusters of intent across 4 dimensions, right? And we have already discussed this, like trigger events, something that change in their world, behavior motion, they are acting like a buyer, organization momentum, the company is heating up, and internal echo, your narrative is bouncing around their walls. So let's start with the first one, trigger events, right? For example, a new VP joins, or a company raises funding, their vendor gets acquired, right? These are outside in signals. They don't originate from your side, but they create urgency to evaluate alternatives. The second one that I want to talk about is behavioral motion. This is active investigation, and let me give you some example, like repeated visits to your pricing page, or they're downloading a comparison PDF, or they're using ROI tool or a calculator and requesting some integration document or a security documentation. These are your behavioral motion. The third one I want to talk about is organizational momentum, and this is a company-wide heat. So you see example of surge in job posting, or you see a public expansion plan, or you see internal spike across multiple contexts, or you see a surge in competitor tool churn. This is the context layer, and even if your lead is quiet, the account is moving. The fourth one is internal echoes, right? And the examples are your LinkedIn post. Your LinkedIn post was shared in a, let's say, Slack channel or something like that, right? Or a teammate shared your blog post, or someone quoted your product on a Zoom meeting. So, but you won't track this UTMs, right? You won't track this with UTMs, but you can see these second order effects. Multiple team members showing up in analytics, outbound demo requests from unseen sources, or sudden executive interest. The point, you don't need to credit the ROI calculator. You need to ask, did this movement contribute to real buying momentum? Because in the modern GTM, influence matters more than attribution, and the companies winning today, they are mapping movement, not assigning credits. So signal web is greater than the attribution trail. Let me share an example. One of my clients, when I was a fractional CMO, a mid-market SaaS provider, used to run standard attribution. They would celebrate any lead tagged Google search to demo, right? But what they were missing is a pattern. Every close one deal had a repeat visit to integration document, right? And at least one founder post viewed on LinkedIn. Trigger events like vendor breach or relationship leadership change, right? Pricing page revisits in 2 to 3 times. So that is why we have to build the GTM with signal web, and you will see a 2 to 3 times higher lead to opportunity rate. SDRs will start calling inbound again. Marketing and sales will finally be aligned on readiness, not just engagement. And that wasn't magic, it's motion tracking done right. So now I want to talk to you about the action plan, and this part isn't for everyone. This is for the marketers who are sick of dashboard illusions and ready to operate at elite levels. Here is your no fluff, no budget signal based on GTM levels. The first one is audit attribution lies, right? So let me talk to you about the step 1 is audit attribution lies. Pick your last 5 deals. Ask the account executive what actually made this account take action. Compare it with your CRM shows. You will see that Google search gets credit, but the real trigger was a founder podcast or a product mention in the VC's newsletter. Take those insights and make a real influence doc. Use it in your next GTM planning session. The step 2 is build your signal web metrics, right? You have to build your signal web metrics. In a simple spreadsheet, create 4 columns, right? Trigger event, behavioral motion, organization momentum, and internal echo. For each account you're targeting, fill in observed data points. Now the example could be, raising series funding, 3 pricing page visits in 5 days, momentum 6 open job roles in GTM team, or CMO commented on your founder's post or your CTO's post. If you have 3 plus out of the 4 firing, that's not a lead, that's a pipeline moment. This becomes your new routine and prioritization framework. Last week, I had published a 45-minute session on how you can create a 3-layer signal grid, how to track real buying intent using trigger signals, and how to build an internal GTM rhythm, right, that syncs marketing, sales, and revenue ops. Watch that video right now and you will never go back to MQL SQLs, right? The step 3 is replacing lead score with signal alert, right? Instead of MQL scoring, set up real-time Slack alerts for high signal behavior. And the example is pricing page visited in 2 to 3 days, integration calculator or a maturity index, and repeat visit from the same account across different IP. So get your sales addicted to these. They'll start seeing your work as deal fuel, not noise. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about the step 4. That's how you change your report upwards, right? Don't send attribution charts next month, send signal, right? Because what gets measured gets done, right? So send a signal snapshot and include top account showing multi-layer motion, what triggered the activity, the GTM assets that supported it, and what happened next. Show your CEO that your GTM team doesn't run campaigns. You track buying momentum like scientists. Track tectonic shifts, when the market is about to move and you are already there. The final and the last step is step 5, redesign content, right? Redesign content on signals. Every asset you build from now on must have one goal: trigger a buying conversation. That means instead of ebooks, build ROI estimators. Instead of webinars, create vendor evaluation kit. Instead of white papers, craft executive justification template. Instead of blogs, publish integration readiness checklist, right? These aren't content, they are accelerants, and they work across all stages, not just top of the funnel. Every week, ask how many high signal events did marketing generate. If that number is 0, your problem isn't sales, it's noise. And why this matters? Because when you move from attribution to signals, marketing gets taken seriously, sales follow-up are faster, pipeline velocity doubles, and your GTM stops guessing. No more fighting for respect, you're earning it week after week. So you're not an attribution monkey, right? You're not here to justify spend with spreadsheet. You're the 5% marketers who build GTM on truth, not dashboard fiction. You understand that revenue isn't a click stream, it's a trust journey, and trust isn't tracked in UTM links. So here is your next step. No more attribution lies. Let's see who is ready to lead this movement. And if you haven't subscribed, now is the time. Next up, why your GTM plan dies on execution every single time. So we are just getting started. Until next time, cheers.